Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson spoke today, and Ryan Poles gave some clarity on Kevin Byard and played it real careful with Jaquan Brisker, which kind of points to the situation that Jaquan Brisker may not be back in the Chicago Bears uniform. There's a bunch of stuff dropped in today's episode that we're going to talk about and how it affects the 2026 offseason. We're going to break it all down and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get to this content today, y'all. And Ryan Poles laid out a lot. He talked about the plans for Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker. He gave injury updates on a number of players. And we got a lot to break down after the press conference today. By the way, yes, this is an original starter jacket. There you go. With that said, though, Ryan Poles said this. We're going to take a step back and kind of evaluate that and put the puzzle together. It's actually four safeties that are under contract for next year. So I have a lot of faith in our process that we'll do that. I think Kevin is a special player. I have no problem saying that a player that we would like to have back. But again, when you add the other safeties in the mix, all of the other decisions across the roster, cap restraints, things like that, it will be a challenge. Now, he was very honest in regards to Kevin Byard, and Kevin Byard has been very special for the Chicago Bears, probably going to be an all-pro this season. Keep in mind, Kevin Byard was signed to a 2-year deal in 2024. He led the league with 7 interceptions. He had 8 passes deflected as well, and 93 tackles, and playing in all 17 games as well. Kevin Byard had a great, and off the field, Kevin Byard has reportedly been a really good player to have in the Chicago Bears locker room. He was voted as a team captain. And, he consistently helped this team get to the next level. When it come down to Jaquan Brisker, there were nothing but question marks for Jaquan Brisker coming into this season. Could he stay healthy? All that type of stuff. And, after a number of scary concussions there, right? And you look at last year, he missed the final 12 games of the season. Brisker didn't miss a game this season. He rebounded really nicely with 93 tackles, 1 for a loss, 1 sack, 8 passes deflected as well, 1 interception. And his best game as a Chicago Bear came in the divisional playoffs against the Los Angeles Rams, where he had 14 tackles, 1 for a loss, 1 sack, 2 passes deflected as well. And it's been said that Brisker would like to return in the 2026 season, but it appears right now via what and how Ryan Poles laid it out that Kevin Byard may be prioritized over Jaquan Brisker, and that's just the reality of it, right? So we'll end up seeing what's going to happen here. Nothing's written in stone quite yet. Depending on how things shake out with the cap, how Ryan Poles views the draft and what he wants to focus on, it could be very likely that Jaquan Brisker is brought back. You bring back Jaquan, you bring back Byard, you draft maybe a safety to be the safety of the future one way or another. We'll see what happens with that, but it's going to be a tough decision. But you can look and expect to see something in that safety room is going to be different for the Chicago Bears. Keep in mind, the Bears are $4.5 million over the salary cap right now, with basically all their safeties being free agents at the end of the season. And that's going to leave some things up in air for the Chicago Bears to do. They still need to revamp the defensive line. They still need to do things like that. So with all that up in air for the Chicago Bears, it leaves a big question on exactly what's going to happen with Jaquan Brisker. When I did my episode yesterday on the biggest questions left for the Bears, the Jaquan Brisker thing was one of the ones that I labeled first. He's always played well when he's on the football field. The question has just been about, what is he going to be on the football field? And, 4 safeties. And, Ryan Poles is already admitting it right now. It's going to be difficult to bring everybody back. And they're going to have to be some tough decisions made in that safety room. And, it's a reason to look at some change coming for at least those safeties. Now, he also updated the injuries across the board for the Chicago Bears. And one thing that was pointed out that I didn't even realize, the Bears had the most games missed due to injury in the entire NFL, with 336 combined games between all their players missing. And when you look at that, injuries to Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, who missed the majority of the season, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, both missed, parts of time. Dayo Odeyingbo, offseason signing, missed some serious time, right? Ozzie Trapillo got lost in the playoffs. So, Zay Frazier, Shamar Turner, like these are guys, Terrell Smith, that didn't even really play in the 2026 season. So with that said, there are a number of injury concerns with the Chicago Bears and some that could linger on into the beginning of the year. And Ryan Poles updated on a number of players. In regards to Jalen Johnson, he did point out that, Jalen Johnson, is not 100%. He wasn't 100% for the majority of the season, but he was improving as the season went on. Poles did note that he suffered a minor wrist injury as well in the divisional round of the playoff loss. It won't require surgery, but this is going to shape up that injuries are still going to be a factor even in the offseason. Jalen Johnson was one of the most banged up Bears. And shout out to him for playing through it. I know, there are a lot of knee-jerky fans that because of players playing through injury, oh my God, he's not as good as we think. We got to cut him. We got to do all this. And then on top of that, they're misunderstanding the quote of him saying they may have to renegotiate the contract if he keeps playing at the level he was, which he did not after an injury-riddled season. So you live all that. There's going to be some reactions from Bears fans. And this is where I say I love fans. I'm a fan too. But some fans are a little bit more aware than others and a little bit less reactionary to some of the things. And they actually look at things at a full. But Jalen Johnson suffered another wrist injury, and he already wasn't 100%. And, rest is one of the things. Those soft tissue injuries, they basically just need rest. And one of the things that Ben Johnson said in his press conference is that it's good for everybody to take a little bit of time away from football. And, he said that was one of the things he talked about with Caleb, not because of injury, we'll talk about that, but that some of these players do need some time just away from football to just heal up and rest up their bodies. And Jalen Johnson's one of those. When it came down to Audrey Trapillo as well, he didn't go into much detail, but he did say that Audrey Trapillo had surgery to repair the patellar tendon that he had. He did say that there is not a specific timetable for Audrey Trapillo's return, but it will be deep in. But it noted it's probably deep into next year. So, and the season, not 2027, but the season. So what that probably means is that we're probably going to be without Audrey Trapillo for maybe the first month of the season, if not more, right? A torn patella tendon can take a while to recover from, especially when you're the size of somebody like Audrey Trapillo, an offensive lineman. No, we're not body shaming here. I mean, he's an offensive lineman. He needs to be big. But, with that said, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some considerable time. Sometimes for torn patella, it takes 6 to 12 months for a full return to sports. So if we're looking at that being 6 to 12 months for that, we're talking about maybe Audrey Trapillo does not return until maybe through the halfway mark of next year. And that's pretty big for the Chicago Bears, especially with Theo Benedict, Braxton Jones. These guys are free agents. So the Bears may very well have to go back into the draft pool and draft another tackle, which necessarily isn't the worst thing, but Audrey Trapillo is going to miss some considerable time next year. And that's one thing that's been clear. Do not expect Audrey Trapillo to be out there at the beginning of the season for the Chicago Bears. He's going to miss some considerable time. He's not going to be available for a while. Next up, when it came down to TJ Edwards, there was an updated he did say that the projected timeline for TJ Edwards is going to have him out 4 to 6 months, which is going to be the majority of the offseason. Now, there is a good chance that TJ Edwards is going to be available by the start of the season. So there is that part, which is really good. If he's available by the start of the season, that's what you want there for sure. But he's rehabbing. He's going to get ready for next season. He's going to try to get that done. But as it stands right now, he's of course, only going to be able to do so much when it comes down to it. So, with that fractured fibula, as long as it was a clean break, which it does seem like, it can heal. You can get back out to full strength, relatively quickly. But yeah, 4 to 6 months for TJ Edwards. So he's going to be not have a full offseason. He's not going to have a full offseason program, but there's a solid chance he's going to be out there by the start of the season. He may even miss some of the preseason. But with that, and with TJ Edwards going down, does that make it that DeMarco Jackson and re-signing him a priority? Does that make re-signing Noah Sewell a priority, which is the next player that we're going to have to talk about as well? Noah Sewell, who did tear his Achilles in Week 17 as well. Ryan Poles did say that he had surgery also. There's no update right now. No update as it stands right now on Noah Sewell. You look at a torn Achilles in football, that's going to be a pretty sizable, injury as well. I would not be surprised. And I know this wasn't one of the questions that I presented yesterday, but I would not be surprised at all if Noah Sewell gets cut. And I think just when you look at the salary restrictions for the Chicago Bears, the fact that DeMarco Jackson did outplay him at some times, you could very well, not carry him on your roster because of the injury. And maybe you say, hey, listen, you get back healthy, we'll re-sign you, things like that. But the Bears, because of the salary situation that they're under and how much they do have to revamp on that defensive line, I can completely see a world in which Noah Sewell may be waived and cut by the Chicago Bears, and they have to figure out some things in their linebacker crew. But DeMarco Jackson, it looks more and more likely that he's going to be returning for the Chicago Bears with all the injuries and things like that. Next up, Jordan McFadden, right? With Ozzie Trapillo out, and what happened there, we started Jordan McFadden at the left guard position, and, he had a decent outing in the divisional playoffs, right? He did suffer an ankle injury as well during the game, but played through it. And Ryan Poles did say that McFadden is set to become a free agent this offseason, and he left it kind of at that, right? So, we'll see. He did play through it, the ankle thing, and, Ryan Poles likes his tough guys. He likes to, keep guys around with that type of mentality. With the injuries that we have, Ozzie Trapillo not probably starting the season. I think Jordan McFadden has a really good chance of making a return to the Chicago Bears next year, but we'll see. As far as some other injury updates as well, right? Dayo Odeyingbo, Shamar Turner, Terrell Smith, Zay Frazier, Karen Amagaje, who we haven't talked about. I haven't even mentioned Karen Amagaje's name in so long. He did say that all of those players are rehabbing for next season, and they're all heading in the right direction as well. So, we'll see. Dayo Odeyingbo, I think, is a player that if he's going to be able to be moved to the inside next year, probably going to see a little bit better of him than what we saw this year. I think that's a really good role for him. But at the same time, Shamar Turner, another guy that we wanted to see some this year. Terrell Smith is going to be a contract year for him. Zay Frazier lost his rookie year. So there are a lot of guys that you're looking at that, could have something to prove when they come back next season. And we'll see what the Chicago Bears do with that. But keep in mind, like I said, the Bears right now are $4.3 million over the salary cap, which is the 12th worst in the NFL. And they're going to have to create some space. If they want to be able to improve this team like we know that they need to, they're going to have to create some space some type of way, and we'll see. Key dates to remember in the offseason for the Chicago Bears. January 27th through 31st is the Senior Bowl. We know that the Bears have usually been very well represented at the Senior Bowl, and usually we draft somebody from the Senior Bowl as well. So Senior Bowl is in about a week. Again, January 27th to 31st. Expect to hear a lot. That's where you're going to start hearing some of the first draft rumblings for the Chicago Bears is at that Senior Bowl. The Pro Bowl game is February 3rd for the Chicago Bears. Then you have the NFL Scouting Combine from February 23rd to March 2nd. And then free agency starts March 9th through 11th. That's not as far away as what you think it is. That's going to be here before you know it. That time is going to go by like this. Offseason program begins April 20th, and then the NFL draft is April 23rd through 25th. So we have, some time with some of these things, but the offseason is going to get started right away for the Chicago Bears, and they're going to start having to start the draft process and all of that. It's starting right around the corner, and it starts with the Senior Bowl, as it always does for the Chicago Bears, and we'll see where it goes. But with that, the Bears may be down their general manager. The Atlanta Falcons have requested to interview Ian Cunningham for the general manager position and for their front office opening. Keep in mind, they put in a request to interview him before as well. This was reported by Jordan Schultz as well. He did interview with the Falcons for president of football operations before the team hired Matt Ryan. And so, they're pivoting back to this. This is somebody that they're familiar with before. We've seen Ian Cunningham have interviews for general manager openings before. He's been a hot candidate for a few years now. Basically every offseason since we hired him, he's had an interview for a promotion with another team, right? So now he's in he just completed his fourth season as the general manager of the Chicago Bears, and he's the right-hand man of Ryan Poles. When we see things that happen in the draft room, he's sometimes ones that point out things to Ryan Poles and stuff like that. But with now the Falcons general manager job opening, and with the ties that Ian Cunningham has to Matt Ryan, it's probably going to be a good chance that Ian Cunningham may get that job. Now, we've said that before, and then he's interviewed, and he either hasn't gotten picked for the second round, or even if he made it to the second round of interviews, he ultimately didn't get picked for the job. So it's not a sure thing that he's going to move on, but this is another sign and another reminder that Ryan Poles may lose his right-hand man. And maybe in this time period with where the Bears and Poles has been in this job for a while, maybe it is time to get a new kind of voice in here, a new set of eyes in here. Now, Poles could very well hire from within. Maybe he hires outside and brings somebody in that, like I said, can bring a fresh new kind of view on this team from the outside in. And sometimes you need that, right? Sometimes you need that fresh perspective on your team because you've been too closed up and zoomed in. Ryan Poles has had a blind spot for players that he's drafted. Maybe you need somebody who come in and doesn't necessarily have those attachments to add that voice to the conversation. So if we end up losing Ian Cunningham, much like with Al Harris, much like with Eric Bieniemy, it just becomes about finding the right guy to kind of fit in with what you're already built here, the culture that you've started to establish here in Chicago, and finding the right voice that can come in here and add to that. That is the most important thing, finding additives to what the Chicago Bears are building here. And if they do that, things are going to be great. And, we'll see, right? I'm not, shout out to Ian Cunningham, who's done a fantastic job here with Chicago. I think that per what his responsibilities have been and things like that, he's done a really good job, and he deserves, as everybody does, a shot to have a larger role somewhere else. That role is not here for him in Chicago because they're not moving on from Ryan Poles. And so if he has to go out and find himself a position somewhere else, so be it. And at that point, we just figure out what it means for the Bears going forward, what the Bears are going to do with it, and we'll see. Now, last topic before we get up out of here, Ben Johnson talked about the mindset of the Chicago Bears heading into the offseason, and I love what he said. I love when Ben Johnson talks. He said this: there is no building off of this. We go back to square one. We're back at the bottom again. If you feel otherwise, you're probably missing the big picture. We got to start from scratch. We got to start with the fundamentals. Now, he said some things in there. He talked about Caleb and how they reworked Caleb Williams' footwork this season. And for him, the challenges that he set for Caleb Williams this season, like the 70% completion rate, those type of things, he felt that Caleb made a lot of great progress towards those things that they have. But I said it earlier in the show, he said that he feels like it's good for Caleb to get away from football for a little while and then to come back, and they have things that they're going to work on him in the spring with. He also talked about DJ Moore and the relationship between DJ. There's been a lot of people who have been killing DJ Moore after the last game. And basically what Ben Johnson said was just clear in the fact that DJ Moore sacrificed for this team. That DJ Moore didn't care about the past. He didn't care about that. He cared about, winning. That this was the most winning that DJ Moore has ever done since high school, basically. And I think that's fair. But he did also point out, like, hey, when we get everybody back in here, we're going to have to work on catching. He said just flat out, we have to be better at catching the football. And I think that's absolutely right. I love to see the head coach have these words that are just right? And he talked about, though, he did say he was proud of the physicality that they played with, from the trenches to the wide receivers to the defensive backs. But he did say that they have to be better at catching the football. He did talk about working with Caleb Williams. He talked about all those things. And so, this team gets some time to go away. But when they come back in the spring, when they come back in April, which is only 3 months away, the team, it's right back to business. And they do have to start from ground up because, like I said before many times, you came into this season with the thought process of let's just win. The standard has changed. You made it to the playoffs. You won your division. You were the second overall seed. So now the expectations change for you. Ben Johnson talked about it. He compared it to this. He said sometimes when you want to lose 50 pounds, losing the first 30 can be hard. Be easy. But that last 20, that's where you really have to dig in at. And that's what the Bears are going to have to figure out how to do, right? Get to that next place as a team. You surprised the league this season. Caleb Williams was the Iceman this year. But now you have to do it a different way. You've seen it now. You cannot no longer just be this fourth quarter team. You got to find a way to do it through all the 4 quarters of the game instead of just in the fourth quarter. And that's what the Bears are going to have to learn, right? But I think it's clear the Bears have their quarterback, and there's still going to be some people that deny it, that doubt it, that whine about it, and still the beige and baddies are out there. Caleb Williams is the Chicago Bears quarterback. Colston Loveland, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, DJ Moore, they are part of this core. That doesn't mean that some people couldn't be moved off of, depending on what Ryan Poles has to do to go out there and fix this defensive line. But the Bears have set a foundation now. Now it's time to build off of that foundation and really take off. And that's what the Bears have to do, try to do this offseason. It's about focusing, refocusing, and realizing, like I said, it triggered some people when I said it, the Bears ain't accomplished shit yet. And Ben Johnson basically echoed those sentiments with what he said as well. So I feel vindicated in saying that the Bears haven't accomplished anything yet. They won some football games. They played damn well. They proved some things. But we got a lot that we still have left in the tank. If we want to get to the place that we ultimately need and should want to get to as a franchise, as an organization, as a team, you can't rest on your laurels of what you did this season because it don't mean shit. Let's go out here and let's keep building. And with Ben Johnson at the helm, Ryan Poles has shown that when he focuses on something, he can get it done. Now you need to focus on that defensive line. Let's see what's going to happen here. They talked about completing exit interviews with players. Things went really good there. I think that they started setting some tones for some things there. And we just got to see what comes next for this Bears team, because there is a lot still left in this tank. There's a lot of talent on this team. I think we proved that this year. And now we just got to continue to go out here and build off of what we've did. Well, to Ben Johnson's point, you're not building off on nothing. You're reestablishing a lot of stuff. So let me correct myself before Ben Johnson comes at me. So we got some things that we still need to prove, some things that we still need to go through, grow through, and we will get there. So let me know your guys' thoughts, as always, down below. You guys already know. I'll tell you how to leave a voicemail in. I love to hear from you guys, as always. But, drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think the Bears bring back Byard and Brisker, or do you pick one? Are you worried about Ozzie Trapillo's timetable for a return? Are you worried about the linebacker room and what the Bears are going to have to do there? But if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and share it with all your Bears fans that you know. Follow us everywhere at Shy Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. And that's going to do it. Like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.